Thank you for joining me on another little ride in sunshine. As you can see, it's a bit of a change from that last ride. Lovely though that was, the one to Dent and Dentdale. This one is a bit closer to home, and we've just left the small village of Wharton and taken this road which is called Crag Road, that you may have noticed, and this climbs up over above Wharton and Morecambe Bay, and I'm trying a few different things on this ride, and that's the reason for doing it. We're just going to stop here, and I'm now going to use my other camera, which is handheld, and just give you a view looking over towards Morecambe Bay there and surrounding countryside. So it's a bit steadier than I can achieve using the chest mounted camera, which is what I did on the Dent ride. So I hope that doesn't make you feel queasy or skewy eyed, as somebody mentioned. I know what you mean though. I find it quite difficult watching some rides that where people have their camera mounted on their helmet, and they have to be very careful not to swing their head around too much, otherwise it tends to sort of swim around for me. But oh yes, it's a lovely little road actually. I've not done it this direction, I've done it from the other direction, which is from Leighton Moss, but never done it this way, which is rather pleasant. And the sun makes a huge difference. Now this was only sunshine for the morning, of course. By mid-afternoon it came on to rain again, and in fact we had overnight rain, but you see for the puddles there. Yes, so the extra things I've done, I've tried to sort out this this camera mount to stop it clacking around. It doesn't clack quite so much, but I'm still working on that. I never give up. So yes, I think I'm going to have to put a little bit of, I think it is where it must be bouncing around very slightly on my jacket. And I think that the review mentioned that it might be caused by a buckle. Well, it's not the buckle, I think it's more the fact it actually just moves backwards and forwards. So I should possibly put a bit of Velcro on the two halves, and so actually stick it to my jacket. Another thing I'm doing, I've got I cut into the waterproof mount is no longer that this camera sits into. It's an Acaso 7LE, which is a reasonable camera. It's not expensive, at £119 I think I paid for it, complete. And yes, I had to cut a piece out of the waterproof mount so that I could plug in a USB connection to it, so that I can use the USB port on the Hunter. And we're actually on Spitfire today, as you can perhaps tell from the little green spot. And I don't know if you can notice that, but the key also has a little red spot. That tells me this is Spitfire's key, not Hurricane's. And looking at those dry stone walls there, rather lovely, aren't they? You don't really notice those coming the other way. There's a fair few bumps along here. So what else are we trying? Well, you just caught a glimpse there of my map, and the problem I had before was that the map carrier is mounted into a thing called a Kappa Alpha 200 tank bag, which is an excellent bag. It's got plenty of capacity, but it sits very high, not quite high, which is ideal if you want to pack things into it, but unfortunately if you're filming, it's right in the way of the camera. But this seems to work very well. What I've done, I was going to cut the bag around and sew it so it's a lot shallower, but I thought, well, that not only is that a difficult job for me, but also it means that I can't get anything into it. So that makes it a bit redundant, apart from using it as a map carrier. So I thought, well, the thing to do is just put some straps around it and pull it down, which is what I've done. So now it's a very versatile bag again, and doesn't get in the way of the filming. So here we are, about 5 minutes into a 19 or 20 minute segment, and we will be stopping at other places and having a look and walk around. I mean, this isn't, I'm afraid, quite as interesting as the ride over the Dent, and that was a bit special, but we do need to try these things out. So if you can have a little comment at the end what you think of this one, and just let me know, and give me a thumbs up if you feel so inclined. Just dropping down now towards Leighton Moss, and then next time you'll see us we'll be on the route to past Silverdale Station. Of course, we're on the lane now which leads over towards Arnside. I think we've lost the sun a bit. Never mind. The roads are quiet, so considering this is a Friday morning, normally Fridays are very busy on the roads, even up here. Not so bad today. And whilst I was riding along, I was thinking about the last couple of stories. One about the Errol Colt, and then moving on towards getting that to Crusader Sports. And unfortunately I was too young for the Crusader Sports. I was about 17 and a half, and a friend had a Ducati 200, the bevel driven single overhead camshaft model it was, and on it he had a breather, a crankcase breather, and I did like the look of that crankcase breather. I thought, oh, perhaps I could do that on my Crusader Sports. Well, I was working on a lathe at the time on my apprenticeship, and so I machined up a sort of fitting which screwed in where the oil filler was on the crankcase. These Crusader Sports engines, the Crusader engines, the 250s, oh, they were lovely engines, really quality. My own view is they were of the nicest of the British 250s of the time in their design and manufacture. But yes, there was a dipstick on that filler. As you might imagine, it's a very useful thing, and I had to replace that by unscrewing the filler. It meant that my breather connector went there. Well, that was okay for me because I knew about that, but when I sold it, the person that bought it, I don't know if he thought it was a two-stroke or something, but he didn't bother putting any oil in it, didn't check it. Now I do hold myself partly responsible for this, the fact that I removed the dipstick, so he couldn't have, without sticking something in there to check where the oil level was, he couldn't really tell about the oil levels. Yeah, so he seized it up apparently, and his father came round my door and said, that bike you sold my son, a lot of rubbish, it seized up on him. I said, well, did he put oil in it? Well, there was no dipstick. I thought, well, yes, well, no, he didn't get his money back. I said, well, sorry, but I can't really be responsible for your son's inability to put oil in his motorcycle, can I? So he went off a bit of a huff. I think I did tell him when he bought it that he had to check the oil, things like that, but he obviously didn't. No, we're just running along the A6 now towards Millthorpe, and on our left is a paper mill, and they use the water from the River Bella, which is just over on our left, and we'll be stopping a little lay-by opposite the deer park, Dalham Deer Park, and having a little look at the River Bella using our handheld camera here. So I hope that pleases. It's running quite fast at the moment. We've had a lot of meltwater and a lot of rain, and it doesn't normally run as fast as this, nor is it as wide. Just stopped off here at the River Bella, and this is Dunham Deer Park. As you can see, the river is flowing very quick at the moment. All the meltwater from the snow we've had and all the rain. It's a lovely little stretch of river this is. And leads to Millthorpe. and off to Morecambe Bay. So yes, we've come to Milnthorpe, and we've just turned off to the left at the traffic lights, and now we're heading off towards Arnside. And you can see the River Bella is over on our left hand side now, and it goes underneath a bridge very soon, and we'll be stopping just the other side of that bridge and having a look at the river as it passes beneath the bridge. The deer park is over on our left, and the estate, Dulham Estate, is over on the left hand side, inside that wall. And still we've got a bit of sunshine, which is rather nice. There's the bridge. I'm just going to pop in here for a minute. Right, well, I would go into this field, but as you can see by the map, I think we'll just stand here and have a little look across the meadows. That's the Bella leading off down to Morecambe Bay, and you can just see the bridge just through there. That's the entrance over there to the Dulham Estate. I'm just going to cross over here quickly. So you can actually you can drive through that. And the hold is very steady. Imagine they do get a lot of people parking here, which must irritate them enormously. And that's the other side of the estate, and this is a deer park. And, lovely bridge that is. Beautiful. So that's the deer park up over there. You can walk through that. The trees. Well, we've now done a bit of a loop. Missed that out because we've done that a few times before. This is a road, a lane that I rode the very first time I actually did some filming, and way back in November of the year before last, and the sound was absolutely awful. All it was sort of a buzzy noise like a lot of wasps. But it's a lovely little lane, and it runs down to the A6 and crosses over the A6 up to Holme, and we'll be heading over that way, and we'll have a little look at the aqueduct, because we pass under the aqueduct, and then I walk back and have a little look at the canal running along the top, which I've always wanted to do and decided that I can do that. It's after the Royal Enfield Crusader Sports. The place I was working, there was someone there who had in boxes, as most of my machines were, was originally a Triumph 21, the unit construction 350 twin, and he'd been doing a lot of renovation on it and tuning it and all sorts of things, and he offered it to me for £25. I was without a bike at that point, and having sold the Crusader Sports, I was actually saving for it's a Gold Star 350, but I realised I couldn't actually afford it. Beyond my reach. So when he said he had this, I thought, oh well, I'll give that a go. So yeah, I put it all together, and he'd actually made it into, I suppose today you'd call it a bobber. It had a single seat he'd reupholstered himself. Unfortunately, he'd sprayed it. Had it sprayed at the company I worked for in their company colours, which was a rather unpleasant pea green, I thought. It was called Marsin Green after the employer. It's Evans Engineering in Portsmouth, and he had two daughters, Margaret and Cynthia, and he called it Marsin Green. And because I couldn't actually ride it to work because it was painted in the company colours, and I thought, well, they know it's been sprayed there, weren't they? So I never able to ride it there. I had that 350. It was quite a nippy bike. He put high compression pistons and the sporty cam in it, and got rid of the bathtub on the back. And I had that for quite a while until it blew the big ends out on a ride, and so I had to rebuild it. I rebuilt it as a 500, and had that for some years, a year or so. And that was the one with the very noisy gold star pattern silencers, which didn't silence anything, they just made things louder, I think. Yeah, built that up in Mum and Dad's conservatory, lean-to conservatory that they had. And started up in there one day. Oh, what a noise. Now here's our railway line. This is the West Coast main line. Lovely Victorian bridge. And we're just coming up now to the Aqueduct, and we'll be stopping off and walking up to have a look at it. This is leading up towards the village of Holme. But yeah, the sun is a bit fleeting this morning from the looks of this. But the bike's running very nicely, very smoothly. It didn't get cleaned after that run to Dent, so I could certainly do with one now. It's really plastered. There's the Aqueduct. Just looking for someone to pull in. Ah, here we are. This looks like a likely spot. Right, well, that's the Aqueduct Bridge. So now we're going to find a way up onto it and get through it. Anybody coming through? Sorry if this is a bit bumpy, I'm doing my best. I think the steps are up on the left here. Oh, it goes. Yep, there we are. Just through here. Good job these motorcycle boots have got good treads on them. It's a bit sticky underfoot. What does it look like up here then? Oh, oh, I'll be covered by the canal. So when you're up here, that's what it's like. It's a canal. Still, we've seen it. View of the surrounding countryside. Wonderfully inspired. So nice little walk. So thank you very much for watching this, and hope to see you again soon for more rides.